Good morning and welcome to the Isn't It Time Facebook Live show this week. My name is Sally Thibault. I am your host and I am so looking forward to bringing you our topic this week, which is on isn't it time to choose vulnerability over fear? I hope wherever you are around the world today, you are well. Let me know. Say hi. Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can see me. We've got our fingers crossed today. We had some technical issues last week and hopefully they've all been sorted. Facebook's been doing some changes, I think some tweaks, and that's been impacting. Good morning, Donna. Happy Saturday to you too. And thank you. Yes, great topic, really cool topic. And as you know, many of you now, I've moved in kind of I've segued into a little bit of a different, morning, Cecily. Lovely to have you here. We've moved into a little bit of, Donna, isn't it? It's just, I've actually taken it off my phone. That's it. I'm wasting time here. So I only actually access it on my desktop now, which causes a bit of a drama, when you're out taking photos, as I was on Friday or Thursday, whenever it was, and then you got to kind of wait home to get home, put it all up. Anyway, first world problem. So where was I? So I'm doing a little bit of a segue now from changing a little bit of my direction, not a lot, but and doing more at more in the leadership space, which I am loving, and in fact have now a number of speaking engagements booked coming up on the topic. So it's women in leadership and it's a hot topic and the press love it, which is always a good thing. So I do encourage you. Now, tomorrow night, for those who are in Australia, tomorrow night, Julie Bishop is being interviewed on 60 Minutes about what happened with the leadership spill and from the perspective of the work that we all do in the area of women's empowerment, because I know a lot of people watch on this show are in that area. Good morning, Tracy. Lovely to have you here. So a lot of, and for those of you who are mothers and partners, you may have sons, I think it's going to be a very important show. I watched a little bit of the excerpt last night talking about bullying and talking about changes that need to happen. So it could be a very, very interesting show to watch tomorrow night. But today we're talking the courage to be vulnerable. So choosing vulnerability over fear. Now, what I'd like you to do today, because I want to make this very much about you today, is to let me know, have you experienced a time where you have to step up into being vulnerable? And let me know what happens, because what I have found, so I'm going to share a little bit of my story about vulnerability, but what I found was there is, as Brene Brown calls it, you can go into having a vulnerability hangover, and where you can step up into being vulnerable, and then it's after that you struggle with doubt and fear. So I'd love you to share your story today. Tell me about what it feels like for you to be vulnerable. What's the challenges you have around vulnerability? And let's see if we can create a really good conversation this morning for everybody on the show, actually, about, and this is kind of where I really want to go back to webinars, and because I'd love for you to be able to have some input in this as well. And that's only from with this show. Yes, definitely last week, Australia. Oh, Donna, interesting. Last week, Australia, you have a voice. Share your story. Amazing to speak at that very vulnerable. Wow. Yeah. Did you have to share your story, or did you share your story, Donna? Let me know. And what I'm really interested in is how you felt afterwards. Ooh, yay. Well, as I say to my clients all the time, once you do that once, very difficult to go back. But I find for me, and I'm interested to know what you guys think this morning, I think that when you step up and be vulnerable, it's the after it happens. It's after you've kind of 10-minute impact, it's afterwards It's when you go, should I? And I want to share with you a story this morning for me on when I had to be vulnerable and what happened. It felt amazing, really powerful, as scary as it was. Yes, I'll bet. Absolutely, it does. You know, it's when you face that fear. Do you know what, Donna, I love about vulnerability is that when you're vulnerable, when you share your story, and this happened for me, and I'm going to share what happened for me in a minute, but when you share that vulnerability story, you actually empower others to share theirs. Have you found that? Because I find that when you step up and actually share a story, you give permission to others to also share yours. And I think that's what courageous feminine leadership is all about. It's about, well, I know it is about. It is about that. It's about the courage to be ourselves. And especially now in this social media world, where everybody's got a comment and an opinion. So when you want to share your story or you step out to make a statement about something, you're wide open to comments. You're wide open to criticism. And that's, I think, one of our biggest challenges. And I did a radio interview on a talkback radio, Australia-wide talkback radio, about 4 weeks ago now, I think. And I wanted to be specifically controversial. And so I sent a media release out, and I said why Australians don't like women leaders. Oh, it's true. Anyway, just about 4 hours, 2 seconds, 2 seconds, 10 seconds before we would go to air on this long interview, the interviewer said to me, "I don't agree with you, and I'm going to argue with you." And I went, "Okay, bring it on, baby." We had a really good, robust discussion about women in leadership, and interesting because I've got all the stats. So it just proves the statistics show the challenge women in leadership are facing. And at the end, he said that was a very interesting conversation. He said, I really enjoyed that. I loved your stats. But I made a decision that I wasn't going to listen to the call coming in. I got off. I thought, I'm not going to listen to other people and their opinions. I said mine, and I believe delivered it in a well-researched manner with some good stats and some good figures, and I knew what I was talking about. There's no way I was going to listen to the callback or the others. I could just imagine the phones must have lit up, because it was really interesting. I had the same discussion with my father the next week, and he was like, "What the hell do you think you're talking about? You don't know anything." And I'm like, "Ooh, okay, let's not go there. That's the comments I would have gotten. Oh, we're very good. Where do you think you get all that information from?" He says, bless his heart. He's 86. What do you say? All right. So, Donna, I just want to share what you just said here, Donna, because I think that's lovely. I hope I can get this up. Just said, inspired many others to want to share their story next year. Now, really grateful and blessed to have that opportunity. Do you see, I really honestly believe that's you've hit the nail on the head, Donna, because that's what it is. When we shine our light, we give permission for others to do the same. And as I said, when I was doing this research on women in leadership, one of the issues that came up was the challenge of vulnerability. Vulnerability is seen as a male, in a male-dominated kind of leadership role, which is, strength and, direction, all that stuff. Vulnerability is considered a weakness. And yet for women, we can be naturally vulnerable because we naturally can share our story. And I wanted to share my story with you. When I wrote David's Gift, my very first book, which was the story, Our Family's Journey, following my son's diagnosis of Asperger's syndrome. When I did the first draft, it was very, very, very clinical, I guess. It was very, then we did this and then we did that, and then this what happened and that's what happened. And a friend of mine read the first draft, and she said, do you know, people are hungry for your story. And she said, when you tell your story, it's like, I want to know, I want to be able to have walked in your shoes, because then I understand. And so fortuitously, what happened was, I was going through the garage one day, with boxes you never unpack in the garage, and found all my own journals, which I had collected, had been writing journals. I've been doing journals since 1997, and I found them all. And as I sat on the floor in the garage and started reading all these journals, because it was as I was writing these journals as David had been diagnosed back in 1997. Yeah, exactly, Donna, exactly. I had I read the story, and I don't know, it's funny, isn't it? Go back and think, gee, I don't quite know why I was directed to do that, why I then was directed to keep those journals, why I was then directed to find them when I needed to. But when I read the story, I thought, this is the story I need to tell. So I actually changed the whole book at that point and wrote my story. So when the book was ready for publishing, I sent the manuscript to all my family and to all my close friends, because they needed to know. I wanted them to read it. I wanted them to understand it. I wanted them to see it before it went, before we published it. And two things happened. First of all, my girlfriend at the time, who we were still very close, our kids were in school together. Her son and my son David were good friends in school. And we were, socialized with them at the time. She came back and said, I had no idea this is what you were going through. Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me the pain you were going through? She said, I could have helped. I don't know what I would have done, but at least I would have been there, which really made me stop and think, sometimes that we keep everything to ourselves, and yet most people want to walk with us, good friends in particular. The second thing that happened was when I gave the book to my dad, and my dad's lovely, he's very supportive, but he is a bit of that old-fashioned kind of, grew up in, the years, and, you just got on with life. And he read the manuscript, and he phoned me one night, and he said, it was a good book. It's a good read. I just don't think you should be airing your dirty linen in public. And I remember, I said, oh, okay. Okay, thanks, Dad, and hang up. And I told Jerry what he'd said, and Jerry said, why didn't you tell him that you need to tell this story? And I said, oh, I don't, it's your dad. Oh, I don't know. But then 10 minutes later, he phoned me back, which was really extraordinary. And he said, you have to tell this story. You have to tell this story because people don't understand what it's like, which was really amazing, And what happened when I released that story and I shared it with people, I worked in the field of autism for 4 years, sharing the story. And what happened is so many people would say to me, you gave me so much hope because it's like you were living in my house. So my vulnerability to share my story, which was quite painful, and, I'm not very proud of some of the things that happened, of what we went through, but understanding now, working in this field of kind of energy psychology, what was really going on at the time, and I wish I had tapping back then. But when I allowed myself to share the story, which was difficult to tell at the time when you're in it, and Donna, this is probably relating to you as well, is that it gave permission for me to be whole. There was a part of me I was no longer hiding. And there is something that when that happens, when you share your story, when you are vulnerable and you release the need for attachment to the outcome, when you release the need to be liked or acknowledged or, the pat in the back, when you release all that and you can stand in the truth of your own courage, of your own conviction and your courage, there's no going back. It's like there's a part of you. Yeah. There's a part of you that once you've done it, it's like you've released the shadow. The more we try to hide our stories, the more we remove ourselves from the true essence. Brene Brown calls it wholehearted living. the true essence of who you are. And I believe in leadership at the moment in this country, in particular, this is what we are missing big time. We're missing leaders who are prepared to be vulnerable. Instead, we have leaders who are trying to appease the entire planet, and that's not going to work. We need leaders to step into the courage of the vulnerability. And I believe that's what women bring, and so I call it courageous feminine leadership. We bring that aspect to our leadership style because we are great storytellers. We can tell great stories. We talk with our girlfriends all the time. We tell stories. And those stories are so powerful for other people to hear. My husband and I are in a position at the moment where we're having to make a very big life decision, and we've got up to the 1st of October to make this very big life decision. And so last night we sat down, we said, let's have a bottle of wine and dinner, and we just had some music on, and before the big football game, and we talked about our fears about making this decision, the choices that we want, what is it we want to do over the next 20 years of our lives? What's that going to look like for both of us? And it required an enormous amount of vulnerability from both of our perspectives, because we both had to share our biggest fears and we both had to share our biggest dreams. And you can't do that, I don't believe, unless you step into courage. And there was a time where it got a bit testy, I must say, because we're both kind of we were at the time a little bit on different wavelengths. I think we're getting closer now to being on the same page, and we want to make this is a decision about where we're going to live over the next 20 years. As you may know, we've got children that live overseas and family that live interstate, so we've got to make some decisions about our future. And so it's a very vulnerable place to be at the moment for both of us, but it's also about having the courage to say, I'm not sure where I'm at the moment in where I am. I'm not sure if I'm experiencing fear, or if I'm experiencing doubt, or if I'm experiencing limiting beliefs. I'm not sure where I am. Now, that type of discussion can only take place when you're prepared to be vulnerable. And prepared to step into that. And do you know, it's a place where I believe that if we are going to make headway in any role in our lives, and as I said last week on this call, I believe that you, the women that listen to this conversation each week call, are the leaders, because you wouldn't be jumping on every Saturday morning if you didn't want to expand your own life. You wouldn't be taking the half hour out of your weekend. You wouldn't be on this call. And so to me, that ability to to choose vulnerability over fear is a collective. When one of us does it, when one woman steps up, when one woman shares a story, Donna, as you were saying, you give permission for other people to do the same. The challenge becomes, how do you handle the, have I done the right thing at the end? That's the challenge, I think, for all of us. It's, as Brene Brown calls it, the vulnerability hangover. It's like later on you go, did I do the right thing? Did I? And it's that, to me, is where you are. That's where the courage is needed. My daughter in Canada is the youngest one, is creating her own position in this company she works for. She's pulled together seen where all these things that need to be done in the business that she's working in. So what's missing, and she's kind of pulled it all together. And we've been working a week with her on, putting together a proposal and what she's going to say, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, she presented it. And then she came back this morning and she said, oh God, now I'm scared. I said, yeah, that's vulnerability. That's what happens. You put it out there. You're very excited about a project. You're very excited about something, and then you go, oh, hang on a minute. Do I really know what I'm doing? That's where the imposter syndrome starts to arise. So I would like to encourage you now to think about, okay, where in my life can I step up? Where in my life? Excellent. Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. I've admitted. And that's what happens. That's exactly what happens, Donna. Do you know, when I did this presentation in New Zealand a couple of weeks ago, I'm thinking, God, here I am standing on stage in front of 600 people and, sharing stories, laughing. They all laughed at my jokes. Oh, it was so, I love that. They laughed at my jokes. Yeah, same thing happened. Heaps of business opportunities. So when you're ready to step out into that limb, if it's the right thing for you, and I think that's what happens with vulnerability, when you finally do step into it and it becomes the right thing, it's like the universe goes, okay, here you go. Here's a door. Here's another door. Here's another door. Now you're ready to step through that. Yeah, exactly. So one of the things that I think is very important in this issue is to also stay in gratitude. Whenever you start to get that kind of bit of a, oh, have I done the right thing? It's about stepping into the gratitude, to be grateful. I think, and I'd love your feedback on this, Donna, too, and anybody else on the call today, that sometimes when you've been through really challenging times, it's only when you can look back on it, 2020 is always incredibly hindsight, but you can see the person you became because of whatever the challenge was. And I look back for me on autism, and I must admit, for many years I was very angry about it. Why did this happen? It's not fair. And if I'd only done this and not that, and if I'd only known, and all that stuff, the onlys, if onlys. But I was asked the question one day, well, how do you think your life would have panned out if there hadn't been autism in it? And I couldn't imagine it. I couldn't imagine who I would be. That whatever I went through, for whatever reason I went through it, for as awful as it was, and sometimes not wanting to get out of bed, became somebody way different than I think I would have been. Interesting. I honestly believe sometimes that I wonder if we really are in charge of our lives. Or we're just playing out and play. We're just stepping into it, and this is where we're all supposed to be. And it's when we have that fear and we don't allow ourselves to go into it. We don't give ourselves permission to be vulnerable, and it's not an easy place to be. You have to put yourself out there. But I believe that this is really that, and isn't it time? Isn't it time where we are vulnerable? Challenges with vulnerability are: don't read the comments. Yeah. Hey, good stuff. Yes. Tracy, I want to put that for us because I want to read that. Really good. Chelsea's reading The Art of made her a lot more confident that what she's doing is the right thing for her. Who cares what other people? Yes. And just for a little sideline, Chelsea's in a very Tracy's daughter Chelsea's in a very kind of male-dominated industry. So yeah, she's incredible. Yeah, amazing, isn't it? How good is this that our children have access to this information now? Wow. Can you imagine? I mean, I must have lived in La La Land. I didn't have any access to books like you're talking about, Tracy. Today my daughter is in Halifax meeting her partner's family, Halifax in Nova Scotia, and she gave her partner's sister a copy of my book. And I thought, isn't that amazing that, the access to information our children have now, today, makes such a difference. Donna, I want to read yours too. Reflection plays a huge step in the journey, how different life would be, and the universe speaks to us unusual, and then you choose to listen to the way the message comes through. Not always actually what it is, then your life becomes much more. Absolutely. Absolutely, Donna. Yep. And that's it, isn't it? It's like Jerry and I are making this big decision about, what's the next 20 years going to look like. And I said to him, isn't it interesting, because this isn't the way kind of we were planned it out. How are we making this decision now? Because our children all live overseas and they're not going to come home. Like, that's not the way that they read the script. They read the script. That's not the way it's supposed to be. You're supposed to move away just far enough to come home for Sunday lunch. Anyway, interesting, isn't it? Interesting how it all pans out. And as I said before, I often wonder this, we're just in this play and we're just stepping through it. And if you don't listen to the messages, as Donna said, bang, you get hit by a 2x4 and it keeps getting hit until one day a big Mack truck arrives for you. And if you're not listening, and to me, that's vulnerability. Vulnerability is being prepared to listen to the messages, to show up and be seen. Show up, be seen. Who are you? That's what I feel is one of the biggest issues we have in leadership at the moment. We're wanting our leaders to show up and be seen. When we hear someone like Barack Obama speak, or Justin Trudeau, or Jacinda Ardern, that's what we want from our leaders. We want them to show up. Yeah, a great set of very capable, confident kids. Yes, but they didn't miss. They're supposed to come home and look after us. What happened to that part? They're supposed to say, we can't leave. No. I know they've got great lives, but oh God, I miss them terribly. Anyway, let's not go there. I know. But that's what I feel. Hey, Janet! Yay! Hey, from Canada. Oh, that's Janet. Janet's often on the program, and she is in Vancouver at the moment. Tell us what it's like. Is it raining? Is it cold? The girls were messaging me this morning. Now I forget where I am. Yes, and that's what we need for leaders. That's what we're looking for our leaders. Anywhere. Stand up, be seen, and tell us who you are. Show up for us. Tell us we've got problems and how you're going to fix us and how you're going to lead out. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for people to lead us out of this. We're looking for people to step up, and that's in all aspects of our lives. And our kids need very, very good role models, because there's a lot of not so good role models out there. I just want to touch a little bit. Whistler at the moment, cold, raining, and very foggy. Oh, Whistler. Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Such a beautiful part of the world. Oh, makes my heart sing. Just wish it was not so cold. If you could find a little spot in Canada that wasn't get the weather. Oh, we used to live in Edmonton, for anybody that knows where Edmonton is. And it's kind of in the north of Alberta. And our winters would get down to minus 30. And, whenever we talk about move back, that's the first thing we go, no, doing that again. Not doing that again. No. So today what I want to leave you with is I want to kind of lead you with how can I be courageously, authentically me? Where in my life am I needing to find the courage to be vulnerable, to share my truth? Where am I doing that? Where do I need to do that? And when you start to feel the fear come up, just check what it is. Is that fear of rejection, fear of ridicule, or fear of failure? Because that's usually what it is. It's those fears, rejection, ridicule, or failure. And don't read the comments. When you share your story, it's about releasing the attachment to the outcome, or as I say, a commitment to uncertainty. So when you want to be vulnerable, where you find the courage to be vulnerable, it's about owning the space authentically and then watching what you are doing afterwards. Looking for that way that the vulnerability hangover shows up, doubt, wanting to hide, making an issue with somebody, creating an argument. Look for that, because there's an adrenaline that can come with vulnerability, and then as that drops, that's when the doubt comes. So it's about, who am I as a leader in my life, my courageous feminine leadership role, because that's what we're looking for at the moment. We're looking for courageous feminine leaders to bring feminine energy to match the masculine energy, so the two work hand in hand, not an either or. It's the yin and the yang to come together. And that's what I believe is missing a lot. We're seeing this in Canberra when Julia Banks called bullying, and you saw the opposing sides. The women who said we need to go through this and work this out, and then the masculine said no, we'll do that, we'll handle that in house, and you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Well, no, that doesn't exist anymore. That old model doesn't exist. The Me Too movement changed that model. And so, the courage it took for Julia Banks to step up and say, I'm drawing the line in the sand and I'm not putting up with this any longer. That was huge. That was a big step for her. That took an enormous amount of vulnerability. She's not a silly woman. She's a successful woman. That took a lot of courage to say, I don't need this in my life. And I really take my hat off to her, because in that environment, that was a tough call. And since then, the stuff that she's been getting, who knows what's going on behind those parliamentary doors, but it needs to be said and it needs to come out, and we need to know what's going to happen, that they're dealing with it, because that is of benefit for everybody. As Julie Bishop said in the excerpt of the interview for tomorrow night, she said the way we act in Parliament would not be put up with in any corporation. So we have to. This has to come from the top, and it is coming from the top. And everybody I know who's on this call who understands energy and understands what's going on, kind of the universal pulse. It's what's happening everywhere. It's what's happening everywhere. We're saying we want authenticity, and we want courage, and we want vulnerability, and we want good leadership. That's what we want. We want people to be able to step up and own their own lives. So this week, the theme will be, okay, where am I not showing up? Where am I holding myself for fear of vulnerability? And what am I fearful of? What am I most fearful of? Because when you can go to that point, that's when you can create the change. But vulnerability is where our creativity exists. You can't be creative and successful, I don't believe, unless you're vulnerable. Richard Branson's talked about that before. He, at any given point in time, Virgin has numerous lawsuits with numerous companies around the world. But he has to take risks, big risks. Elon Musk, rightly or wrongly, big risks. These guys take big risks, and they have to be vulnerable, because they could lose it all. But when we hold ourselves back, creativity is absolutely. It just you can't. And on top of that, also you can't be successful without having failed. Just can't, because of the lessons that you learn in failure. You've seen quotes all over the place about, the reason I'm so successful is because I failed so many times. It's getting yourself back up again. And I think that was a part I took a long time to get my head around, was being okay with failing. I was a bit of an imposter syndrome, and the perfectionist was there. But you can't take it. You can't do it without failing at it. It just isn't the way. It just doesn't work. Just doesn't work. Just doesn't work. You got to. The joy and success comes from overcoming the failure and finding who you are. All right, lovely people. We are 5 minutes past the hour. Thank you for today. Thank you for being on. Oh, and if you are interested, I forgot to do this. Where are we? The Courageous Feminine Leadership Program. Courageous Feminine Leadership, almost forgot to talk about it. I now have 3 programs. One is Lunch and Learns. If you are in a corporation, you're interested in having me to come talk to your people at lunchtime, I do a Lunch and Learn workshop. I do training corporations and also do personal coaching when it comes to, so there's 3 aspects to the Courageous Feminine Leadership program. And that's where we talk about all this stuff. We talk about how do you show up and be vulnerable? How do we do unconscious bias? What's going on with that? How do we recognize it? How do we change it? Stereotype threat, how do we change that? How do we make a different world for our children coming up behind us, boys and girls, both? And that's what Courageous Feminine Leadership is all about. It's my absolute passion at the moment, and I think will be for a long time, because I have children, and I want this to be a different world for them. I want this to be a different world for them, and that's when I believe that we're going to do it. Is that when we change, and I've talked about this a lot in this show. When we change, we give permission for our children to change. So the Courageous Feminine Leadership, click on that, have a look, and let me know if I can help you. Thank you very much, everybody, for a great show. Thank you for your input. Some really, really insightful comments today that just fill my heart as well. For those of you who are following the AFL, go the Melbourne today. It was a bit sad last night Richmond lost. But anyway, as you can tell, I'm an AFL girl. Jerry was very excited that Melbourne Storm won in the NRL, so he's happy on that part, and we'll see how we go. I can't believe that it's grand final season here already. The year is slipping by so fast. Have a wonderful weekend. Oh, thank you, Tracy. I know. It's just, it was like my sister said, so somebody get that Mason Cox out of there, 6'11" American, doing amazing things last night. Anyway, have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Janet, keep us updated on your Canadian trip, where I'm looking forward to all the photos, and I hope you enjoy that beautiful country that is my adopted home. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. I shall see you all next week. Bye for now.